Hey, it's Mike from Intermittent Fasting for the Win. Welcome to the Winner's Circle. This is where I have live Facebook chats with people who doing intermittent fasting or just getting started or have been on it for years. And we discuss everything about it and just have a wonderful time. I hope you'll join me today for this one. It's going to be special. And I'll talk to you again at the end. April has her own group called April's Fasting Friends, and she's got a restaurant too. And I'm going to get her to plug both of them at the end of this. Let me turn down. I'm listening to the audio coming from my computer, and it's about to drive me crazy.
All right.
But uh, April is actually one of my group experts here on the group, and she chimes in with, yeah, give me them big eyes. She chimes in with advice, and she's got a lot of knowledge. She does a wonderful job, and I really appreciate you, April. And
Well, thanks. I love to talk fasting.
yeah, yeah, I do too. I've been talking
Mhm.
it all day to a young fella at work who started his first fast yesterday, and he is so excited.
Yeah.
He's already joined my group. I told him, well, you need to join all the rest of them too. I said, just look for them; they're out there.
Yeah, we're just
But
linked up.
yeah, now I want everybody to know if you love Southern accents, you are going to be in hog heaven today because me and April both have cultivated and refined the Southern drawl, and we got it down pat, and we're going to put it on you today. Ain't that right?
That's right. hmm They have hit the
Well,
jackpot.
let's let's get started. And I'm going to ask you questions, and your answers to those questions are going to fill in the blanks on your journey, okay?
Okay.
What got you started on intermittent fasting?
Well, Mike, let's start with this. Okay. I was raised in a middle class family. Do you know that joke? I'm sorry. Okay. I know that's bad. If you didn't know where I was going with that, that tells you a little bit about my personality. I don't take myself too serious. Okay. No, everybody that comes on your group, we have like kind of the same story.
Yeah.
So mine goes way back to when I first, early 20s, started having kids, started gaining weight, and started looking for how to manage that, keep that under control. And so when my first son was born, I had gained 65 pounds. I found Weight Watchers. I was 23 years old. I did Weight Watchers after I had him. I lost all my weight like that quick, and thought, well, this is it. Like, this is the answer to people with weight issues, right?
Yeah.
I actually went to work for Weight Watchers. I was one of those little people that weighed you in and tried to sell you the little disgusting bars and stuff. And
Yeah.
I watched people week after week after week utterly frustrated
Mm-hmm.
because they couldn't figure it out. Even with a program that told you can eat exactly this much every day, whatever, they couldn't figure it out. And so I kept
My mama was one of those.
a Weight Watcher. Well,
Yeah, she tried it and tried it and tried it, and it never worked for her.
so the more I learn, and I wasn't back then, obviously I was not trying to learn the things about different personalities, different body types, all those things. I just needed for me to get the baby weight off. That's, and it did happen so fast that I thought, hey, this is it. This is the answer. I'll go to work for them. I believe in this, whatever. And I made lifetime member and did all the things, but it was a temporary fix, and it wasn't very long until, I started, when I arrived, I had done my 6 weeks of maintenance or whatever. Then I returned to my normal eating and it started gaining the weight back. But anyway, so for about 5 years, I was just having babies every couple of years. And when I would have one, I would just go back to my Weight Watchers, get rid of the weight, whatever. That is called 20s metabolism,
Yeah,
right? But
exactly.
it did always work. And then as I got older and I would put on a few pounds, I say a few, like 10, 15, 20 pounds, I would go back to Weight Watchers. And then when Weight Watchers didn't work as well anymore, then I started trying all the things. So like low carb, Atkins, extreme exercise, like long distance running. They did this program called Insanity, and that's exactly what it was. Insane.
Yeah,
Like
I remember that. I
really,
remember that.
yeah, really high intensity, really crazy workouts. P90X, where
Yeah.
everything was like body weight emphasis, but endurance, like I said, all the things. And it was always just a battle trying to stay ahead of it, because I come from a family that, like, most of them are they're obese, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, a little bit of cancer. But my dad is gone, but like my whole life he would say, honey, you're not full growed yet, because he expected me to follow in the footsteps of everybody else in our family, and that really is
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
And anyway, I would lose a good bit of weight, and my mom would say things like, I think you're too thin. And my dad always said, leave her alone. If anybody in this family can be thin, just let them. But the truth is, like I said, now the more I study and know, my body type is one of those that gains weight really easily and loses weight really easily. Okay. And so everybody is not set up like that, but I take after my dad's mom, my grandmother Bonnie, and she was always just a normal size person. Like, she wasn't thin and she wasn't heavy. She was just normal size. And so I was a teenager when I made the joke, if I have to take after anybody, I want to take after her. But so anyway, but just to say that every diet I went on, I lost the weight. I lost the weight just like it was programmed out, like pretty quick. And it didn't really matter what I was restricted. It worked for a little while,
Yeah.
and I always said I had about 3 months of willpower in the tank. I'd get on there, I'd lose the 15, 20, however many pounds, and then I returned back to normal. And the older I got, I rebounded quicker and quicker and quicker until I, had lost and gained up to 171.5 pounds. And I'm only 5'3". And so for me, that was like about a size 12 in ladies, and just really not happy in my own skin. So um, when I found fasting, I had been following somebody on social media who was very intuitive eating focused, and like, you don't need to restrict, you don't need to diet, you just need to learn to love yourself and all these things.
Yeah.
And I loved myself up to 171.5 pounds. Like, really, like, she's like, you just eat when you're hungry and you'll know. And I thought, I'm always
Yeah.
hungry. And so
I'm hungry
anyway,
right now.
yeah, I'm always hungry. Um, but one of my friends had posted on social media a bottle of salad dressing, and she's like, this was May 4th of 2020. During the lockdown stuff had already gotten crazy, and she said she was going to break her 20-hour fast with that salad dressing. And I just thought, 20-hour fast, what's she talking about? I messaged her, and she said, Read, Delay, Don't Deny by Jen Stevens. And she was like, you're going to fast clean and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, I hate eating clean. I've tried that. And she said, no, you're not going to eat clean. You're going to fast clean. And so she told me a little bit about that. And she said, and then when you eat, you're going to eat what you want. And I thought, I can do that, because I hate all the packaged things. I'm not going to drink the shakes. I'm not going to do any of that. But she said, you just eat like you eat, but you're going to shorten it down. And I thought,
See
I can do
that
that.
that was one of the things that got me in with Courtney. When Courtney introduced me to it, she said, hey, I'll eat fried chicken in a heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
but I only eat it during my eating window.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what sucked me in, was this idea that you're not going to eat all the time, but when you eat, you can eat things that you can still eat the things you love. And so that's how I got started. So I downloaded that on Audible for free, Delay, Don't Deny by Jen Stevens. The next morning I went on a walk, I put in my AirPods, and I listened pretty much straight through. It's like a 4.5 hour listen, because I've listened to it a bunch of times. And I fell in love with Jen. You talk about that Southern drawl. She was relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She told my story, like the yo-yo dieting, the like, hey, I've conquered everything in my life, and I cannot get this one thing under control. I cannot figure this out, and I'm a fixer. So I think she's a fixer, and she thinks we can study and figure out whatever it is. And so it made sense to me. And, that was the first clean fast. And so here we are, like 4.5 years deep.
Four and
And
a half years.
mm-hmm,
That was going to be my next question. How
yeah.
long have you been fasting? So 4.5 years. How long have you been in maintenance?
Um, so that's another thing when I talk about body type and in my group, I try to talk to people in a realistic place. Okay, so fasting really was the answer to every prayer I had about figuring out how to maintain a healthy weight, a healthy lifestyle. Okay, and then I thought, I'm going to tell everybody this. It's going to work exactly like it did for me. And boom, everybody's problem solved. That's really what I thought. I was preaching it from the rooftops, like, everybody got to get on board. This is it. Okay. But since, then you get in these groups and you see, backlash, like, hey, it's not happening how you told me it happened for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to dig in then, okay, what's the difference in me and them? And one thing is, I can't follow them around and see what they really do. I can't. I can only be accountable to me. I'm in control of me. Yes. But the other thing is different body types, different personalities. There are a number of reasons why some people don't see the same results. But I'm telling you, it happened for me. It was just like Jen in the book. I lost 45 pounds in about 5.5, 6 months.
Yeah. And that's right on target.
Yeah. Well, I got so small that people thought I had cancer or something. It was one. But what happened is my body loved it. And so, like, I was just burning up those fat stores like, craziness. My goal was about 20 pounds. I thought if I could get these 20 pounds off, man, I'd be just tickled. But it was so easy. Like, it was, once I got through adaptation when I thought I was going to have to kill people and starve to death, after that, it became so easy. And then that's when the body starts saying, hey, I want to eat really good quality food. I don't want the garbage anymore. Mm-hmm. And when I got into a pattern of found my sweet spot, which I eat 10 to 2. I'm an early day eater. I do like a late breakfast, and then an afternoon is like a late lunch or early dinner, whatever you want to call it. But I'm finished eating by 2 p.m. almost every day, except on weekends. When I found that sweet spot, I just melted away.
That's something. See, since Vicky's starting to fast with me, she likes to do hers from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I lost all of my weight by running out to 8 o'clock. I was eating right until I went up to bed, but so now I'm adjusting to her pattern so that whenever she cooks or whatever, we're kind of in sync. And so I'm learning how to be a person who can have 2 hours still before they go to bed and not eat nothing, because I never did like that.
Well, see, and that's another one of those areas where everybody said, okay, what do you do? And I'm going to do what you do.
Yeah.
And that absolutely
don't always work.
No, it's so individual. And so when you get to thinking about how you like to eat, if you can't figure out how to make this fit what you like, you will never do it long term. And
That's right.
So I really was always a person who didn't care a thing about eating when I first wake up. Like, I did do coffee with more creamer than coffee back then. Like, I called it my off-white coffee as soon as my feet hit the floor. And I was addicted to the chemicals in those creamers and all the things. And so if I had leftover pie or cookies or cake, I would eat that for breakfast. But I didn't want bacon and eggs or anything savory when I first woke up. So that tells me I'm not a breakfast, like, I'm not an early morning eater. Okay. I've never been a nighttime snacker. Don't care a thing about late night snacking. Don't care if I'm having a snack when I watch TV. But I don't watch TV. You have to
okay. I'm done talking with you now.
But I'm saying I don't necessarily sit and watch TV either. That's not who I am either. I'm just wide open until it's time to go to bed, and then I crash and burn. I say I die to the world, and I'll be up ready to, when my eyes open, I'm ready to go in the morning. And so I'm telling you, personality matters and plays so much into this and into your success or failure, because if you just try to copy what I do, you're not going to be happy. And like you said, you like to eat until bedtime. So it might be that you and Miss Vicky have to work out something where she eats till 6 and you get to eat till 8. I mean,
and if that happens, then we'll do it.
Yeah, but 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I said, was my go crazy, eat everything in the house. I guess it was a blood sugar dip or something. But that was if I was going to binge, and I call it binging. I mean, like, I didn't have a huge obese obesity issue or whatever, but I had food issues, major food issues, just junk food, junky garbage. And if I bought a box of popsicles, I was going to eat a box of popsicles. And if I bought like the little snack packs of, say, has like Cheetos and Doritos. Whatever my kids didn't like is what I got stuck eating. But if I ever decided to eat them, I was going to eat all 6 little bags of Cheetos that were left.
Well, absolutely.
I mean, like sometimes I called it like blacking out and waking up. And beside my bed, I had all these wrappers, and I'm like, "What happened?" But that really was. I am very much an all in or all out person, and it was like either I'm on a diet and I'm doing exactly everything by the rules, or I am in the other ditch, just completely out of control, terrible choices, and eating until I'm sick. And
that's my personality.
But 2 o'clock in the afternoon was my point of weakness. And so by changing 1:30 to a mealtime, when I was eating real food that satisfied me, there was no need for the 2 o'clock binge.
Yeah.
And I'm finished eating by 2 o'clock. People are like, but what do you do the rest of the day? I do a million things the rest of the day. I work at night. My restaurant's open. I work. And then I come home and I do schoolwork and then shower and go to bed. And the TV might be on when we go to bed, but I'm not watching it. Like my head is doing a bunch of other things. Of course, now I TikTok and I Facebook. That's a full-time thing. So I'm, if you want to get paid on there, you got to engage, you got to respond to comments and whatever. So fielding all that is one thing I do. But I shut the eating side of my brain off and I do other things. And hunger is not an issue. Like it's just not an issue. Now, when I start eating, hunger is big, I awaken the beast. And then some days I eat nonstop until I calm the beast and I won't touch another thing all day. And that might be 10 in the morning to 11. And at 11, I'm done. Sometimes I can open with something small and then shut it down and work and do the things. And then 1:30, I have like dinner and I'm done by 2. And I just don't worry about it. Whatever happens, happens. But I know that once I do eat, I'm going to need to eat. The insulin thing is real. I'm going to trigger the insulin. I'm going to be hungry. And like I said, then I just see how that day plays out. But in 4 hours, sometimes I can do some major damage still,
Well, listen, of course you practice a clean fast.
Absolutely. Squeaky.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And we know what protocol you use and the time of your eating window. And so your total weight loss, where are you at now?
Okay, so I started at 171 and a half, and I lost down to 126 and a half, which was 45 pounds. And I stayed there effortlessly for 2 years. And then I read a book called Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Peltz, and I thought, well, this makes sense. And I tried her protocol for just a little while. And it threw my body out of whack, and I gained 5 pounds. And I'm talking about 5 pounds that I've had with me. That's another 2.5 years, and couldn't shake them, like no matter what I did. And I remember texting Amy Jo, and I was like, my weight hasn't changed in 2 years. And just like that, I've gained 5 pounds. And so that put me at like 131 and a half. And I started diet brain, like I'm going to fast longer. I'm going to do mealless Monday. I'm going to cut carbs. I'm going to do all these things. And I did all these tweaks. And then I'd be right there at 131.5. And I'm like, I don't know, forget it. I'm going to do what I do. My clothes size didn't change. My favorite thing about this is in 4.5 years, I can pull out clothes after the change of the season and they just fit. Well, that never happened to me before.
let me tell you, along this same line, and this will fit right in with what you're talking about. This is what I told that young man today. He asked me, he said, Michael, because I was showing him pictures of me when I started at 365 pounds, And he says, where are you at now? I said, well, I'm almost to 75 pounds. I'm almost at 290 now on my average weight. He said, well, where do you want to go? I said, well, that's an interesting question. I said, because I initially set a goal of 220. Now I'm 6'1", and my doctor, my orthopedic surgeon that did my knee, he said, your bone structure is massive. He said, you got the bone structure of a linebacker.
Yeah.
He said we had to put the largest size knee replacement in your knee that we had in stock. He said we were lucky that we had one that big. I said, okay, so, and I initially set that goal for 220, but you know what? Here's the deal. And I told Alan this today. I said, I'm going to go until I get to a place where my body says, this is where I want to be at. And when my body says, this is where I said, forget the number.
Right.
Forget the number. It's not about a number. It's about, are you happy with your body, and is your body happy with you?
Right.
And that's the place that I want to be, and then I'll maintain that for the rest of my life. And that was the second question he asked me. He said, well, what are you going to do when you get there? I said, I'll be fasting for the rest of my
Fasting.
life.
And so when I was losing fast, and it was just really dramatic, and people would see me and they're like, what in the world happened? You know, because it was a big change. It was a lot of size. Like, it was from a lady's 12 to a 02. I mean, that's a different person. And people would see me and be like, what in the world happened? You know, and they're like, kept saying, are you done? Are you done? And I'm like, I'm going to eat this way from now on. You know, when my body got to the 45-pound mark, it stopped. I didn't change anything. I did not lose one more ounce. Do you know what I mean? It was like my body said, I'm done. And then maintenance, which had always been the most terrifying part of this, I did continue to do what I did. And I got a little bit more relaxed with my weekends and all those things. But like I said, for 2 years, I felt like a toddler who tested every single boundary of maintenance. But what if I do this? You know, like, what if I stretch that 4-hour window to 6 during the middle of the week? What happens? Nothing. What if sometimes I do dinner instead? You know, what if I did breakfast and dinner and nothing in between? What would happen? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I had a crazy weekend? Well, by Wednesday, I was back at 126.5. And then I dug into the literature on body set weight, you know, and Dr. Jason Fung, because that's the thing.
I like him.
I love to read. I have read and read and read. That's one thing I tell everybody: just keep educating yourself, because the more you know, the longer. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what's going on, you're more likely to stick with it. But that was the big question for me. It was not how can I lose weight. It was, can I ever figure out how to keep it off and stop the yo-yo? And so body set weight, and he says you've got to dial down your appestat. It's like the thermostat in your house. So how do we get it to stick on 72 degrees, you know? And I think part of that is staying there long enough that your body's like, okay, this is our new normal.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and wrap this up. Did I tell you or not that you had to figure out a question to ask me that would be tough?
A tough question for you?
Yeah, give me a tough question.
Well, I don't know about a tough question, but you say that Courtney introduced you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what was it? How did Courtney convince you at your age to try this one last thing? I know that you needed to have your legs done, right?
Right here. I saw what had happened to her. And when I saw what had happened to her, I said, that's absolutely incredible. And I want some of that. And I was looking for a way. And she introduced me. And when I went back to my knee surgeon, who said, you got to get down to 331. And when I went back to him and I was at 320 and still dropping, he said, oh, okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that knee done. And
right.
so,
well, had you ever considered bariatric surgery?
For a fleeting moment, because I have friends that had it, and for a fleeting moment, I even made a phone call to set up an appointment. And then I got to thinking, no, that's not the way. That can't be the only way. And so and that was gosh, 3 or 4 years ago. But
okay, and so your experience with friends and family who had the bariatric surgery has to be similar to mine, that most everybody I know that had did it has gained their weight back.
Yes.
And so,
There's a few who have not, and there's some on our groups who have, but you know,
found the
inter,
tool. They found the
yeah,
tool of fasting
there you go,
as a maintenance lifestyle. Yeah.
and it's helping them to stay
Yeah.
in maintenance. Yeah.
I know I know a very, very few who have it changed their life and then they learned better habits and it stuck. A very few. But what we've learned about restriction and then hormonal rebound, it makes perfect sense that when the body's deprived of nutrients through surgery or whatever kind of deprivation, it is going to fight back. And
Yes.
so that's where education is failing in the bariatric. They need to explain to them, you will have weight rebound, and this is why. It's not something instead they make even those patients feel like somehow that they failed to do what they
Yes.
needed to do, and that is not true.
Yes.
And when Jen, that's how Jen got me. Number one, what I was going to say is that when she said, I'm 7 years deep in this, I'm 8 years deep in this, I said, okay, because I don't know many people who ever lose a substantial amount of weight and naturally make it stick. Okay. And I'm talking about like no pills, no surgery, no killing yourself in the gym, no restricting yourself to I only eat meat and eggs or I only eat nuts and things that grow in the wild. Like most of the people, and I'm not talking about naturally thin people, I'm talking about people who have lost weight and kept it off. I don't know a whole lot of those without some kind of external stimuli. And so when Jen said I'm 7 years deep in this or whatever, and I just live my life and I'm now at a natural healthy weight, that's what sold it for me. I was like, I just got to see. I've got to see if it can be. But definitely when she said the same thing, when her and Dr. Fung taught about how the body's hormones fight back against restriction, I thought, well, no wonder I could only starve to death for 3 months and then regain it as fat. My body thought I was killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are like, well, to me, fasting is the ultimate form of starvation. I'm like, because you don't understand what you don't understand. But I
Yeah.
eat well every day. I eat plenty every day, and my body knows it's not any danger, and there is no panic. There's no hormonal fight back of, hey, she's trying to starve us to death, and we got to pile this weight back on. And I think
Yeah.
people can like, they can get too far out there with the fasting, and then they want it to have their weight loss to be faster, and then they cut back their food for too long, and they're going to get the same hormonal rebound. But I think if you approach it as, like I said, during this window of time each day, I'm going to nourish my body and get the things I need, you'll be okay. You
And
don't get to, yeah.
enjoy my food.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do like better quality food. Now I still like junk sometimes, but it's even if I decide to have something junky like the Cheetos, about halfway through that little bag, I'm done with that. I was like, that was not what I wanted. It's not at all the same creature as eating 6 bags.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just not gonna do
listen,
it.
listen. What's the name of your group
April's Fasting Friends
on Facebook?
on Facebook. Yeah.
And I'll post a link to that when I post all of this and everything. But if you're ever up in North Alabama,
Eva.
Alabama, if you're anywhere close to Eva, Alabama, make a detour and go on over there to,
Bobby's Restaurant. And you can follow me on Facebook at Bobby's Restaurant if you want to see the
yep.
Alabama Chicken Queen do her thing. Or TikTok. TikTok, it's ACQ April Hall on TikTok.
All
And
right.
I'm quite entertaining, but I share a little bit about fasting and a whole lot about just every other kind of thing. I
One,
cook and
yeah.
I am an amateur comedian.
One more thing before we cut this before we cut this loose. Wendy, bless her heart. You was out there you was out there with Wendy and Jeline, and y'all had that girls' weekend, and I was following y'all on Facebook, and y'all just as crazy as Bessie Bugs.
And
but
we
but
had a
listen,
blast.
listen. Wendy told me one little story that just got to me. She said, me and her were chatting one day on Messenger about Southern accents. She said, "Yeah, we got in the elevator, and April said, mash that button. She said, you press buttons, you don't mash them. I said, no, honey, down here in the
You
South, you mash them.
And I have not used that yet for Southern Word of the Day. So I'm glad you reminded me. And I said, well, I guess you don't press potatoes either. You mash
No.
potatoes. I don't know. But we had a lot of fun trying to figure out what we were talking. Well, I understand them perfectly.
Yeah.
They didn't get all of my Southern whatever isms.
Colloquialisms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, it's been a hoot today. It's been a hoot and a holler, as the
Yes.
old folks would say.
But hey, my best advice to anybody, if you want to start the fasting thing, okay, start where you're at, read the books, Jen Stevens, Fast, Feast, Repeat, Delay, Don't Deny. If you need a much shorter, sweet and condensed, it'll get you started.
Yeah.
And then when you need the Bible of fasting, go to Fast, Feast, Repeat. But I don't ever plan on living any other way.
That's it. I'm here.
Yep.
I'm here. In 4 months I'll have my 1-year anniversary.
And boy, and look at you with your group and evangelizing. It took me longer to be confident to do. That's one thing. After a year, I think it was after a year that I went on my personal page and I thought, I can't stand when people post, I lost 50 pounds, but they don't come back and tell us when they gained it back. Like if you were in love and you posted about it and you don't come back and tell us when you break up, that's not fair. Okay? That ain't fair. But I did tell them, I said,
what happened to Tom?
Yeah. Yeah, why is your profile picture single? Okay. But I told people, I said, I'm hesitant because I needed it to be time tested. Nothing else in my life ever panned out long term. And so I said, if I start gaining all this weight back, I promise I'm going to come on here and I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to tell y'all that this is no different. So I'm 4.5 years later, still saying this is it. This is the real deal.
That's it.
Yep.
It's been a pleasure to have you today.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I got a meeting with my school team at 6 o'clock. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Hey, I'm the oldest college girl you've ever had on here.
Yeah. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. And when I get this all wrapped up, I'll post it on your page for you.
All right, Mike. Keep sharing the good news.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And I'll see you next time right here on the Winner's Circle.